What's up, everybody, and welcome to Life by the Book, where we're taking life one book at a time, or in this week's case, 5 books at a time, because today we're going to be taking a look at my top 5 favorite books of all time. Now, take note of that word favorite. That does not mean the 5 books that I think are the best in the world. These are my personal 5 favorite books of all time that have molded and shaped what I like to read and just shaped who I am as a person. Without further ado, let's jump right in. A couple of these may be just a little bit predictable, but a couple of them may not. A couple of them you may never have heard of. So I'm excited to get to these and explain to you why I love them so much. Make sure to comment down below and let me know your favorite books of all time so I can be sure to pick them up next. One other thing I want to say before we dive into the list is that obviously, just to clear up, number 5 will be my least favorite of the 5, and then number 1 is my all-time favorite book. Number 5 is a book that I read in grade school, and this book, it also has a movie, and this book was one of the first books, really, I think, that I can ever remember reading. And I remember getting so transported into this world that I did not want to leave. I remember being very, very sad when this book was over, and that is The Giver. Many of you have read it, by Lois Lowry. This book is a Newbery Award winner, and rightfully so. This book says Jonas's world is perfect. Everything is under control. There's no war, fear, or pain. There's no choices. Every person is assigned a role in the community. When Jonas turns 12, he is singled out to receive special training from the Giver. The Giver alone holds the memories of the true pain and pleasures of life. Now it's time for Jonas to receive the truth. There's no turning back. This book is absolutely beautiful. Let me know what you thought of this in the comments down below. The number 4 book on my list, my 4th favorite book of all time, is a book we read in high school. Again, I did not read many books in high school. This might be one of the few assigned books that I actually read. And it's actually a poem, but it reads like a book, but it is a poem, and that is Beowulf. Anybody ever heard of this book? This book absolutely changed my life. It rekindled my love for reading. We read this in class, and then we watched the movie together as a class. But this book is full, absolutely full of heroes, monsters. There's tons of blood, victory, life, death. It is a huge, epic book in just a few short pages. This book follows our main character, Beowulf, as he seeks to basically save his people from the villain Grendel, or some people pronounce Grendel. It's so short, but it's so epic. I wish I could have ranked this higher on my list, but I just couldn't because of the top 3. But this book is phenomenal. If you have not read this, you are missing out. You've got to read this. There's also a movie with this, so you've got to give this a shot. The number 3 book on my list is actually an audiobook that I listened to on Audible, and it was super cool because as the narrator is narrating, in between chapters, the author would actually talk with the narrator about the book and about what was going on in that book. It's a true story of a man's life. It's basically a memoir. I mentioned in a previous video that I've lost, 50-something pounds. This book is what got me started. This book talks about not only motivation, but it talks about drive. The author says that motivation is here. We want to get up and go exercise. We want to eat healthy, but actually having the drive is actually going and doing it. So I want to ask you, before I reveal the book, are you motivated or are you driven? I had to find some drive as I sought to lose some weight. I'm still on that journey. And that book is Cant Hurt Me by David Goggins. It should be showing up here right now. Thank you, Editing Alex. And this book is insane. It follows our main character, David Goggins, who of course also wrote the book, and it follows his journey on his life from being stricken, abused as a child, and basically he goes on to abuse himself in many aspects. The story really picks up when he's in his 20s and he is seeking to become a Navy SEAL. But there's a problem. For his height, he has to weigh, I think, about 196 pounds, and he weighs about 302 pounds. And his deadline to qualify for the Navy SEALs is in 2 months. And so he goes on a quest and he loses 106 pounds in 2 months. You've got to listen to how he did it. And then, not only that, he goes on and he finishes Hell Week in the Navy SEALs 3 times. 3 times. So many people can't even do it once. If you don't know what Hell Week is, it's basically the hardest week of training in the U.S. military. People die in that training. He completed it 3 times. And then let's take it a step further. He runs ultra marathons. So you've all heard of a marathon. A marathon is 26 miles. An ultra marathon are 50 miles, sometimes even 100 miles. And he runs these to support and to bring money in as charity for fallen veterans. This guy is an absolute animal. Just a couple of things that he has, this are not spoilers, but a couple of things that he's encountered in his life. One, in the military, they put him in a box and buried him alive, and he had to survive buried alive during Hell Week. Another thing that he's been through is that he has run on 2 broken legs. He's run miles and miles and miles while both of his legs were broken. This dude is a warrior. He absolutely inspired me and gave me the drive that I have now. I'm thankful for this book, and it comes in at number 3 on my list. The number 2 book on my list is kind of a sleeper pick, one that many people may not have heard of. He's a super popular author, but I don't see a lot of people reading him on BookTube. He's kind of one of those authors that you see at Walmart or at Target, but you see him in the bookstores too, but you just don't hear a lot of buzz about him. At least I don't. And this book came out just a couple of years ago, and it is The Reckoning by John Grisham. This is some of the best writing. You guys don't sleep on this. This is some of the best writing I have ever read. In this book, we follow our main character, Pete Banning. He's a war hero. He is well known as a World War II soldier. And when he comes back from service, he basically, in many senses, the guy's gone crazy from everything that he saw in the war. And you get to see some of the things that he went through in the war. And when he comes back, he walks in. This is not spoilers. He walks into this church with a gun, and he shoots the preacher. This book is taking the journey on finding out why he shot the preacher. Oh my goodness. This book, I just don't have words for this, you guys. This book is one of the most insane books I've ever read. Some of the best writing. There is a certain scene where it gets very intense. And to this day, I read this book 2 years ago. To this day, I think about this book. That's how intense that scene was. If there was one book I could recommend to you out of this entire list, it would be this one. Read this book. And the number 1 book on my list, before I reveal it, I want to give you a little backstory. My cousin was reading this when I was about 10 years old, and I saw him reading it. He was 2 years older than me, so I always wanted to be just like him. He was reading this book, and I said, I've got to read that book too. He's reading it, so I've got to. And boy, did I pick up the best book in the history of the world, in my opinion. Again, not for writing style, but books that impacted me. And that is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I had actually already read the first 3, but there was a long layoff before I actually picked up the 4th because it was just so much bigger than the first 3. This book, I don't know what to say other than the loss in this book, especially the loss, the tragedy, the journey, the Triwizard Tournament, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? Everyone comment down below right now. Harry put his name in the Goblet of Fire. We all know it. Come on. We all know it. So this book is my favorite book of all time. It absolutely stuck to me to this day. I watch the movie all the time. I need to reread this book soon. This is my favorite book of all time, and it will take a lot to top this book. So everyone, that's going to do it for my top 5 favorite books of all time. Wait, before you go, I do want to say thank you, and I want to ask one thing of you. Would you be willing to share this video with one person? Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a relative, someone that you know. Send them this video. Send them a link to this video. Let's get this video to 150 likes. I think we can do that. I love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.